And we're going to see a couple grenades there on Olivia. The smoke grenade and the flashbang. Have to see exactly what the intentions are. Looks like they may be trying to run a fake, James. Looking at the setup on the mini-map, that could be a stark possibility. Bomb still dropped in T-spawn, however, and I think it's good for Alpha Red that no one is going on an investigation for MVP. But MVP, 4 players stacked towards that B bomb side. They're seemingly anticipating a B play, but if not, they have a retake set up for A. So this is pretty standard stuff.
So Alpha Red, what are the time codes where decisions are made? Because MVP are not peeking anything, not looking for anything, not really serving you with any information that you might like to see. Still holding passive towards the B bomb site. And if there has been a hard read from MVP, well, I don't know, it seems that there's some indecision. Alpha Red picking up the bomb, moving towards A, then kind of hesitating at the entrance to B apartments. So now it looks like a B split. They have a smoke grenade on Olivia, but they're just walking up. This is an unusual round in a pistol for Mirage, for sure.
Yeah, it's going to be 30 seconds to go for this. Zeph with a nice connection off the bat. HSK now with a challenge towards the apartment. Decides to drop off as Zeph gets traded out finally, and they'll try to make their way in for the plant. But time is starting to be somewhat of an issue as full rotations had and headshots abound there for the MVP side. Life is looking uncomfortable for Olivia. 1 versus 4. Oh my god, he's actually outpositioned the CTs. He's got time to go for the plant. Planning on default will be safe, but he's got to find 4 headshots with this block, James. It's PT50, in fact.
Well, I think he's the best man from the job based on what we've seen so far. Never mind, he's going to get absolutely wrecked immediately. But the fact that they even got a bomb plant out of that is quite something. And again, I think there was a plan B from Alpha Red. Like they waited passively. They tried to bait MVP, it seemed, into some kind of push. But it's a pistol round. You don't really need to do that necessarily. MVP knew what they wanted to do, stack the B bomb site, and they did that. So they just waited and waited and waited, and it seemed that Alpha Red were moving into a position for a split of the B bomb site. But walking out late in mid versus USPs when you got Glocks again, you've got range issues there. So I feel like I could be wrong, but I feel like it was like some kind of late round call, especially with the way they were moving around T-spawn as well. It seemed that there was some kind of hesitation there.
Well, we'll see an A play coming up from Alpha Red. It was very successful for them in the matches yesterday. If we cast our minds back to the semi they played against Greyhounds, and they are often able to get all the choke points locked off. They were able to isolate players on the bomb site. There's just Sign there. Say they will be smoked off, but they'll push in before the smokes bloom, and they lose 2 players before their smokes go off. And the third, it is not looking all that good here. Zeta will finally go down, but there's the final trade for MVP to win the round. And James, we had the smokes, but they ran into the crossfire before the smokes could cut off the crossfire.
On to, well, I say on to the next one, but it's on to the next eco, really. So not ideal timing from Alpha Red. So let's see what MVP, what they can do in terms of keeping their players alive and so on. This is a unique situation to build some early cash. Ooh, well, now you know there's an organ mid. Don't really want to go there. Bomb is in the apartment for the time being, and there's plenty of presence from MVP in the mid area. And Sign looks to move up towards top mid, searching for information. So Merols is making his way through the underpass, and is there cover for Sign? It doesn't look like there is at the moment. Now he's looking towards the underpass with HSK going to be looking top mid, so it's sorted out. How does he survive with no Kevlar in that situation? I don't know. I think that was a CT smoke, it looks like, so I guess they tried to throw it towards the window and really messed it up badly. 4 players remain for Alpha Red, and they're getting closer to the entrance to B. And now KdTV and SDK want to peek top mid after the org action, so it's a slow drawn out eco round. Again, they want to waste as much money as possible as well as get some frags. Force MVP to use as many grenades as possible, but the frags look pedestrian. At least KdTV. Top mid with the bomb in B, and there we go. Everything in its right place.
Now we get into another full buy for Alpha Red, and again, drawing some conclusions based on what we saw on their previous Mirage match yesterday. They liked the set pieces on the A and the B bomb side. They had some mid defaults as well. They had a fairly well-rounded T side to throw at their opponents, but already we've seen MVP are offering a more cohesive and generally stronger CT side than we saw from Greyhound yesterday. And one thing that's really cool from MVP, we saw on the last map, is they like to get aggressive. However, speaking of which, we're going to get the aggression from Alpha Red straight off the bat towards that B-bomb side. But Zeta's maybe going to spot this. Did he see an arm? I'm not sure. He's surely going to hear what's going on. The two-man push for underpass. You never expect this. UMP coming up the steps. They've got the bomb, and that is a disaster for Alpha Red. What the hell just happened? They had no idea that was coming.
3 players jumped out of the window by MVP at the beginning of the round. Now, I do wonder if Alpha Red's plays are telegraphed and they expected them to all go towards B. Because when do you see 3 players come out of the window? I haven't really seen that kind of thing since NIP were doing B splits on the CT side of the apartment when Threat was their coach. Now, again, Alpha Red looked really, really good yesterday, but MVP are just not allowing them to do anything, and Alpha Red are unable to react. And again, I go back to that round on Inferno where Alpha Red were on a T side and Olivia was T ramp, but not looking at Banana. And they have all those people towards B, and no one's checking the underpass. It's standard. It's standard stuff. You consider that the CTs could make a play, and maybe it's more likely if they've got an SMG with a forward spawn. I don't know, but you have someone looking there.
And I think it's just the style of MVP as well. They are a team that, as I mentioned previously, they like to get really aggressive, and this is a fantastic map for that. You have so many options, as we just saw. I think they got obviously very fortunate in that past round, but well, that will likely get them towards 5 as MVP are not up against all that much here. Just some pistols for Alpha Red to try to find some kills. And Zeph is going to be poking his head around the corner here on the catwalk position to see if he can find out where all these T players from Alpha Red are. And they will finally arrive into this position. There also we can see makes his way under the window with the rest of his team. And that's just looking to see if they can bait out MVP and see if there's a lack of discipline, that maybe they can punish someone peeking prematurely. But so far, there's not much peeking going on because there's smoke just all over the place.
Another dry round, an arid round from Alpha Red. They have possession of connector for the time being, but you don't want to spend too much time on a pistol round in that mid position with no grenades. It's not really too easy. And as I say that, there are suddenly 2 MVP players left. I don't even know what happened. I don't know if we saw any of those kills. And now it's a 2 versus 2. The bomb's still in connector. They need to go through the choke point. As I say that, it seems they will just wait patiently, and now they've got a chance towards the B bomb site. It's a long rotation through the underpass. STK's picks up a rifle, but he's only got 16 HP. So at this point, maybe you throw the bomb out the window and keep the high ground advantage, but he's going to jump straight out and go for the default plants.
Sign is the man to do it here for MVP. Takes down the first decisive kill, gets the headshot straight away. Now just down to STK. And timing is everything. The HE just about going to miss there. That could have been money, but Zyme will get it done. Very confident stuff from him as always. And he will get himself the defuse as well. So, as you say, James, a very surprising amount of damage there. Alpha Red sitting in the middle position, trying to find what they could. And they did fantastic damage. And they've set themselves up here, moving into the next round to do even more damage. So hopefully this is the round where they can kind of figure it out.
Yeah, there's still plenty of money for MVP, but that can quickly disappear when you lose so many players. So perhaps in that there is a chance for Alpha Red. I think some other teams would have thrown the bomb out of the window to keep the high ground in that post-plant situation. May have given them a little more chance. A difficult situation. Oh. And we have a gap through the smoke. Jumping on the table support, and Zeta gets 1 for free. Not what Alpha Red were expecting, and again, it's a 4 versus 5 early, and they haven't been able to really recover from these early 4 versus 5 situations. That was certainly the case on Inferno, and when you get a 5v4 early, you have like 70% round conversion in general, and now it's a 5 versus 3. This is like a mirror of Inferno so far for me.
I was about to say, it is a flashback, great flashbang into that connected position. And everyone is going down here for Alpha Reds. They had more success in the last round with the Eagles. This has gone very, very wrong. And it's I think that was definitely very characteristic of Inferno, as you say. It wasn't just that they were giving up the first pick, but it would seem as though it just happened a bit too easily, and it was taken out of their hands. It wasn't as though they'd take a risk and get punished, but it was MVP playing a mixture of playing well, but also putting Alpha Red in bad spots. And we'll see if SDK can get any more damage. They did so much damage in the round prior, but it'll be all recovered. And SDK can do some more. That's a good start. Lost most of his health though, and you'd imagine that MVP will be able to track his movement here. They know exactly what's open. He'll be making his way towards CT. This is actually not a bad angle to come out from, and we can see that currently this might be the most favorable position to try to attack from, as the MVP side don't have perfect information as to what's happening. HSK will take a more safe position considering what is exposed and the fact that Connect is completely open. And the timing not very favorable for SDK. HSK will take him down.
Seems to be going for an open plant, so gambles were going to be taken, but he was denied. Now, I think styles make fights. Stylistically, MVP seems to be the final boss for Alpha Red at the moment. And I love how, even when they get one-man advantage, a two-man advantage, they continue with their aggressions until they're satisfied of how much they have disabled the Alpha Red team. I think it was a 5 versus 3 when the pop flash came through the connector smoke to take a player out in that position as well. So I think this is based on an estimation of their opponent. I don't think MVP would necessarily do this by default versus any player, sorry, any team. But versus Alpha Red, it has fantastic results. Looking at the scoreboard, Alpha Red have 4 players with 2 kills or less. Olivia is 0-0-6. He's on the verge of being James Bond, and he's been the star for them in the games where we've seen them win. So that is a very telling indicator as to the issues for Alpha Red.
Different approach from them here, and Meryl's very cautious about this potential push on the underpass. MVP, again, they love to get aggressive whenever they can. This is a great map for it. However, they will go for a passive setup in this round in particular, but not detecting anything in the middle of the map, they may start to wonder about a push coming in on the extremities, and that is, of course, what will be happening. Sign on that shadow position, and Alpha Red with only 3 at the moment towards the A push. They will be reinforcing that. Olivia will be swinging on through, and Miros can be the lurker coming out from mids. And this is gonna, the grenades are gonna have to do everything here for them. And they may wait so that Mayros can get into position on the flank in middle before they execute.
Well, in they try to go. There's the first pick for MVP. Looking comfortable at the moment. Grenades towards that Tetra's position again. It is where your first stop in your path through the choke point, but MVP are all over this like white on rice. They lose 1 player. It's a fantastic round from them again, and Alpha Red don't seem to have a solution to the puzzle of MVP at the moment. Just 1 frag in that particular round. MVP are falling over suitcases of money at present. I do wonder if they'll head towards 16k on most of their players. Alpha Red in eco territory, so I expect another slow round. Again, I think in the ecos we've seen so far, they spend too much time in the mid position. I can confirm that Olivia is 007. And again, that is the worst case scenario because he seems to be their best player at this tournament so far.
I'm not sure on the past round if they peaked. They rushed before the smokes bloomed again, because I think HSK got a free shot through before the smoke bloomed on ticket. So little things like that need to be fixed. Well, here goes the pistol rush into the B-bomb side. It is a simple matter for Zeph and for Stax. They'll lose Zeph, but Stax is still in position here to deny this. The rotation through market already, and that's got a bit wrong for Mr. Stax. And all of a sudden, KdTV's made it into a 2v2, but quickly remedied thanks to Zeta. So MVP pick up another round. Some damage done, but again, their money's so out of control that it doesn't really matter. 8-0 for MVP. Alpha Red yet to put forward an argument that they are in this game.
The chaos of the pistol rounds is, well, the eco rounds, I should say, is where Alpha Red seem to be having most of their success. And that's not a good indicator either, because you can't find consistency in them. It is the buy rounds where You need to be able to execute and outmaneuver and isolate and exploit your opponent on the CT side. You have the advantage of the numbers on the T side, and they try to use that, I suppose, when they set up towards B on the infamous first buy round where they got decimated by a UMP push through the underpass. They've definitely checked it this time. Shown plenty of presence towards the B bomb site. Now KNTZ is lurking towards A, where there are still 3 players. So it seems Alphared may, actually I say may execute in towards the B bomb site, but I wouldn't be surprised if they started to rotate out, because we have seen that before, and indeed Olivia is rotating the bomb towards the A bomb site. He's going T-spawn to deliver a smoke top mid, so this might be another split attempt of the B bomb site.
Position gained in middle, at least for Alphared. It's pretty useful. You can build off of this map control, deny some information from the CTs, set up flanks, set up splits, all kinds of stuff you can do from this. It is difficult to coordinate, but once you have connector or once you're deep on catwalk, things do get easier, and the relevant grenades are being used. However, Zeph is rather dangerous there with that AWP, or HSK I should say. And you can see just sitting there ready to strike should he move up catwalk, but there it is, he spots them in connector. Is there any flashbang for his position? He's going to be very effective if there's no nades. Oh, it's a double, of course it is. The collateral comes in. It's all gone wrong again for Alphared. Olivia, last man standing, and he's against 4. It's not looking all that good for him, James.
Yeah, 5 seconds on the clock. And the problem with running the clock down so late is that if something goes wrong, you don't have time to recover from it, and they don't have time. Olivia dies after time as well, so that is not great. He's got $500 in the bank because of that. The rest of his team with 4,500. I don't think that you really want to be standing in connector during a timeout when, worst case scenario, you die, but you can buy your team anyway. So this hasn't quite worked out for them. They've called for a tactical timeout. It is 9-0 to MVP at the moment. But again, yeah, Alphared, I think, in some ways, their own worst enemy, playing it too slow. Just too much hesitation in the choke points, especially in mid.
It's one of those things too whereby there are some problems there. When you take mid, if the CTs just decide to give up connector completely, you have to figure this out. And one way that you can play against this is you do also need to have taken catwalk, really push the CTs back off catwalk, put someone in towards the ladder room position so that if they do re-push catwalk, your guys are not going to die in connector, and then you try to bait that opposite peak from ticket, or which is where we saw HSK. And you have your AWP try to pick him. That's when you can go into the bomb site. If you're not going to get that pick on that player, you have to be able to use utility to flash him off, because that's how the setup always goes when the CTs give up mids. They have one on tickets, one around the shadow position, and it's just very difficult to deal with without the appropriate response.
4 players top mid for Alphared. Maybe looking to trade in case somebody was in the middle of mid, as there have been in previous rounds. They spotted one when they were pushing through the underpass. So here they go. They've been afforded the mid position. But now what? And that now what, I don't believe really has been answered in any of these buy rounds from Alphared. And that's a now what that they need to answer. Minizeta just camping behind the smoke. He's got the sound cue. He sees the player push through, and it's an easy frag. The spray was a little bit too much, but Zeph is cleaning house in the short position. The bomb's been dropped. Now boxes could be exposed towards the connector. Okay, the smoke is up, and with that frag on the B bomb site, they might just have their first round here.
Yeah, this has to be a conversion. This really has to be a conversion. It's one of the best chances we've seen now from Alphared. And it's in their buy round. Oh no! Fox looking in a completely the wrong position, exposed. Good refrag coming in from STK. Didn't expect the second player though, and Cyan's going to clutch it out again and just running back to find himself the AWP before calmly going over to defuse the bomb. And that was the best chance I think we've seen, a 2v2 off the plant, James.
Yeah, but the positioning after the plant was absolutely awful. Why on earth is he completely exposed to the short position like that in order to throw a flashbang? If you don't know a flashbang from that position, then find another way. Like, you can't just have no cover from short and assume you're not going to get shot from there. That's just not acceptable at this level of Counter-Strike in a grand final, no less. 0-10 for Alphared. This is another deletion. 10 rounds in, Olivia is 1 for 10. Mare rolls 2 for 10. Foxes and KNTZ not much better, really. There's no shining lights on Alpha Red. They're all walking in the dark at the moment, in a cave with no batteries in the torch. They've got the AKs out once again. Limited grenades. Well, actually, no, they've got pretty good grenades. But what can they do with them? That continues to be the question.
For that burst up top mid again, Zeph, pretty good from this position. Wants to be careful of underpass. You can be, if you go too deep, you do expose yourself towards those lower positions. Zeph will go up into the ladder room. A strong position, making sure that no one surprises his teammates by boosting through the window. You can also watch over catwalk if they are to push towards B from that position as well. SDK pushing the B apartments, but his team not necessarily committed just yet. Zeph is again in such a strong position. Oh, they are getting quite deep towards him though. Will he turn around in time? Oh, they're boosting as well. They have no idea they haven't cleared it. Zeph gets himself an easy 2K. It's all gone wrong again for Alpha Red. Catastrophe, one after another. Olivia will get the trade with the boost, but they have to get this bomb into the B bomb site immediately. Great response from Olivia with the 2K, and also Fox getting it done towards that A bomb site.
Yeah, he's cutting off the rotation. He's kept HSK on the A bomb site. Now it's HSK alone, and maybe, just maybe, we will see our first buy round. The only person who's short on money is Zeta, but 1 versus 3 with an AWP, not ideal. Fox is still in that jungle position, and there is value in him taking weapons away from the T side because they have like no money in the bank, so he can still make life hard for them, even though they are likely to win this round. Finally, Alpha Red are going to get a round on the board. Now, they could still get 5 rounds out of this half, and who knows, that might be enough for a recovery. I think Olivia, his best side is going to be the CT side. I don't say that because he's got like 1 kill or 3 kills now, but because just the style of player he is from what we've seen. I think he'll enjoy the luxury of the CT angles, but again, you need to get some rounds before you get there. 1 round will not be enough.
It's very difficult times for Alpha Red, but still rounds to try to turn things around. And even though it looks dire up until this point, sometimes, you know, we've lost a lot of Counter-Strike. Sometimes it just turns inexplicably at this point. You get that first round on the board, the floodgates open, and you start picking up additional rounds. And we'll see if that's the case here for Alpha Red. HSK, very nice movement across towards the catwalk position to get a very fast position and ahead of the smoke. It is a beautiful spot for a pick, but he won't be getting anything just yet. I'm liking this mid setup coming in from MVP. It's aggressive. It's what that's how they like to play the game.
So this is what Alfred may be looking for with the sheer number of people they've been moving out mid with, but again the position of HSK is absolutely brutal. And that will run distraction to 180 from Zeta as well, and it is back to the normal service. 5 versus 2. Alfred with so many people top mid, but just out-positioned by MVP. The first frag was the AWP on short, the distraction being run. The peek from the middle position is beautiful from MVP. Absolutely pulling apart the Lego, and it's just a mess of pieces on the floor. Alfred, Olivia, 1 versus 5. Not a great situation for him. The frag doesn't particularly matter at this point, and it is back in the bin for Alpha Red. 11-1 MVP.
And the only silver lining for Alpha Red is that they have all the money in the world just because they have such a big round loss bonus. And, well, it's so far not been helping them too much. Olivia will be picking up the AWP. Perhaps he'll go for a pick, perhaps a fast play in towards the A ramp or something, depending on his spawn. Okay, so he's got a mid spawn. Could also go for a B apartments pick as well. And that seems to be the case. And this maybe is a way to open up the rounds if he's able to find any stacks going a bit too deep. Will stacks go for the peak? Well, there's a flashbang. That is just great attention to detail coming in from MVP. That flashbang prevents a pick.
We were saying this about Alpha Red yesterday. Seems they left their strap back on the bus because we have not really seen anything from them today. Sign just spotting, holding the HE, which will probably go towards Tetris once he sees somebody. The Molotov is good towards Tetris if you have more teammates with you. There's the HE rather towards Tetris position, but again, oh, that one doesn't really hit the mark. Gets the bricks instead. There's a molly to stop across towards the default area. Got flashes towards CT. Alfred now on the site. They don't have all the smokes in the world. Loads of choke points are open, and the MVP side will continue to trade 4 versus 2. Go down the stairs, make it a headshot angle. How on earth do they get the bomb down? They've got time, Alfred, but they don't really have too many personnel. The fake plant, there's no one CT now, so they do have an opportunity to plant the bomb.
So they're coming in from the back as well. Doesn't see anyone, and they are in a very dense position there. Oh no, it gets so awful now for Alpha-Red. He's just in a corner, no way to defend himself, and that is another round going towards MVP. They are truly outclassing Alpha-Red at this point. 12 for them, and still just the 1 for Alpha-Red. And this, of course, is the second map of this best of 3. Alpha-Red having a similar performance on Inferno, the first map. So this does not bode well for this series, and their chances at a comeback. They need at least three rounds. They need at the very least.
Well, it's pretty rough, isn't it? It is pretty damn rough, and it seems they'll be going for a standard execute, or even just a rush into the A bomb site. A change of pace, going through the smoke grenade. Mare rolls will be the first one in. Olivia not too far behind with the bomb, but it is of course MVP with the first frag. We've just done Molotovs being thrown all over the place. Sign might like to go for a spray towards default. No bomb plant just yet. Mirrolls has found a gap in the smoke, but nothing doing. Sign holding CT in the meantime. The bomb gets planted, but it's a 5 versus 3.
Potential if the timing works out for Mayrolls to be explosive in this position, but really it has to be him. It's a very difficult position once you get that first kill. It's hard, you can't really fall back anywhere. Takes the next fight, and he will get killed. The trade's there for Olivia. Olivia doing some heavy lifting here, but there's only so much that he can achieve, and that's going to be 13 rounds for MVP. Success on the retake, and once again, Alpha-Red, they're getting a bit closer to winning some of these rounds, but ultimately it's not really looking like they can pull them over the line.
13-1, the last round of the first half. And what is there to say that we haven't said already? The bomb plant helps Alpha-Red get some money for AKs and grenades in this round. This will be a tactical timeout from Alpha-Red. How do we double our score in the last round of the first half? This has looked amazing for MVP.
Yeah.
It's so fantastic. I mean, maybe they studied Alpha-Red's, and again, I did raise questions on Alpha-Red's T side of Inferno. You start 4 versus 5. That is a good indicator. If you're able to deal with that situation, or try to, it's a good indicator of where you are, but they have not been able to do that in this entire series. There's been no answer to anything that MVP have offered them. No answer at all.
And MVP have been playing some great basics on this map. They are crossing the T's, dotting the I's, very diligent, making sure the pop flashes are in the right places. They've got good timings, good coordination. They know how to rearrange, reshuffle their CD setups without a thought. Everyone's on the same page. They look like such a unit right now. That is so awesome to watch. Going to see a fast play here from Fox. He will get himself in a forward position, but immediately there'll be a push up middle once again. Fox will answer back with the trade into towards the B bomb side. However, the reinforcements is there. 3 players on the B bomb side. The Sign's alone on A. This might be the chance as the bomb is right above him. Does he realize Sign goes down? Beautiful stuff coming in. Alpha-Red, there is a chance here. 3 versus 3 after plant. Double orbs on the retake. Not ideal for MVP.
Flash hasn't quite worked out, but neither did the shot. There is a trade there from Stacks. Now, where is Essa? I don't know that Alpha-Red know right now. He's moving through the mid position towards Connector. Alpha-Red, they need this round so badly. Stacks waiting for his teammates to try and get some information. Moving forward. I think Olivia is in the sandwich position at the moment. Some Molotov, nothing doing just yet. The bomb is pretty far ticked actually, so this might be going a little too slow for MVP. But there is the last frag, of course, in it. Oh, is he going to have time? I'm not sure. It's going to be a close one. Has he got the defuse? I think he might have, and there we go. It is the successful retake for MVP. A monstrous 14-1 half for MVP.
Oh, it's even worse really than Inferno. This is so dominant from MVP. And you just really at this point have to credit their performance and credit just how well-rounded they look as a team. On Inferno they played it perfectly. They played, again, great fundamentals, showing that they study Counter-Strike, that they can go beyond their region. If you implant MVP into a big international tournament with a pool of teams from around the world, they're playing great CS fundamentally, so they're going to be ready to perform against anyone, and that's so awesome to witness. But Alpha Red, they need to make sure that they can find something here on this pistol to get back into the match. We've seen brilliance from them, James, especially on CT sides, especially on a map like Mirage with Olivia. They need to get that pistol, they need to get the economy so that they have a chance to show us that.
MVP always looking dangerous. They're basically an alligator in a swamp. The waters are calm, but at any moment they're going to just pop out and snap your arm off. Olivia making a play through Palace. So the patience that Alpha Red showed on the T side of their pistol wasn't rewarded, but MVP's will be. A cruel irony, and now we've got Alpha Red fighting back. Okay, we got some frags here. Abusing the range of the USPs, there's still a chance. Zeta alone, 1 versus 3, trying to plant the bomb, but we've got KdTV crab walking, but he can't quite get a headshot. He will eventually though, and that is a much needed round from Alpha Red. Every round is much needed at this point. 12 rounds just to tie the score. It's a long road back, but it is not impossible.
Yeah, and we haven't really mentioned the fact that Zeta has 26 kills on his, effectively just on the first half alone. So obviously they bodied Alpha Red so heavily that we haven't really drawn much attention to individual performances because the team performances were so overwhelming. But here we go. They've done what they needed to do, and they just keep doing that again and again. Oh god, okay, well Olivia's gone down straight away, that's the problem. And immediately we see MVP running back. I wonder if they're trying to make a play into the underpass to get the gun. Looks like that might be the case. They're going for the gun, maybe, or maybe not. Are they just going straight into B? Well, that's an option as well. Alpha Reds should have more than enough to defend against it. They just have Clocks, there's no utility, no Kevlar, and indeed, they will serenade MVP in bullets, and that is going to be that. But to get 2 kills out of a full Glock eco is very annoying if you're Alpha Red.
Very annoying indeed. MVP with about 4,700 per person. The AKs are coming out on the CT side. MVP were playing it like a very smooth T side, and now they're actually on the T side. Maybe things get harder if that's even possible based on what we saw in the first half. Alfred will have the AUGs out. STK rather is on the MP9. No AWP just yet. So far, not so good. 1 for 1 is not favourable for the defending side, so Alfred have issues. They've got 3 players deep towards the A site. STK and KdTV are clearing Palace, and that is where MVP are headed. So this is going to get really, really weird because they may think no one is here. They may rotate 3 people towards the B bomb site, leaving 1 in situ towards A. That's possible. But STK might actually get some sound cues, so this is going to be a very unusual round.
You never expect to see 4 people going through Palace at this point. This is very strange. But STK is going to get the info for his team. Oh, we've seen the bomb. There's more players there, though. He knows about it. And even though he goes down 1 for 1, they've got the information, Alpha Red, so they're starting to rotate absolutely everyone. And a very deep position there from KNTZ. And considering that the time, MVP could just cut noise. They could just stand in T-spawn for a while if they wanted. And see if the CTs will do anything aggressive, and if not, that's cool, because as you can see, the CTs have to make some decisions here. Do they just try to blindly stay on some bomb sites, or do they go for some risky pushes? They've decided to go for a risky push. KNTZ's going for it. He's gone through T-spawn. They know now that it has to be B, but can they defend it?
There's a weird world where MVP go through connector, but that's not the case with the bomb going into B. Zeta slowly moving up the short position. Doesn't know the status of short, but if his teammates can run distraction and a short player has his back turn, then that would be useful. However, KNTZ is charging through apartments. Zeta might hear him and raise the alarm, but he's got taken out, so we've got big problems for MVP. There are 14 seconds to get onto the site. Have to plant the bomb. There's a flank from KNTZ, which leaves HSK in a horrible position. High ground advantage for Alpha Red. There's nowhere to plant the bomb, and he'll get taken down from the market door, and that's round number 4 for Alpha Red. 10 rounds to pick up. They've put MVP back in eco territory, so another round is all but guaranteed for Alpha Red. 1 round at a time, 1 round 10 times.
And Fox, the good guy that he is, will drop an AWP to Olivia, and that's one of the things that we need to see to really allow Alpha Red to do this, because MVP has shown us such good fundamentals that you can't just play passively. You have to get some rounds in when Olivia pushes, as we saw yesterday, gets an early pick, such as that, and puts the T's in a 4 versus 5. Oh dear. HSK gets a quick pick. Olivia's got to be careful if he gets headshot here. I know it's unlikely, but they're walking such a thin line at this point that I'm afraid for any little thing to go wrong, because they have no margin for error left, as MVP are only 2 away from winning this. Oh.
Round 2.
There we go.
Marvelous. Heat Seeker with some malfunction, but it was repaired in time. 1 minute on the clock for MVP as they close in on that connector position. Fox, what is this peak going to be like for him? Fox sees one, spots one. There's another one. MVP, it's their turn to get stuck in a choke point. There's no support yet from the A bomb site, however. Olivia could peek at the same time, and he starts to do that as his teammates are being taken out. A little too late, though. Second try is the charm of the AWP. That leaves Zeph in a 1 versus 3. Now, again, just taking out some players here. MVP have such a round advantage that these frags on the eco rounds can pay off in the later rounds. It can mean that Alpha Red are short of a grenade here and there, and that might make the difference between a round win and a round loss. And a round win would put MVP on match point immediately.
Yeah, honestly, it's a struggle for Alpha Red to even rebuy the AWP. That's been a really big problem. So it's a very important point that you make, and MVP, they have so much room to try so many different things. You can see here they're just going to give a B-rush a go. Give it a go. See if it works out. Just going to run through the flames there. A smoke to defuse any Molotovs going in, but now they cut noise. So they pulled some rotation, and now they're going to begin to walk back. But
I think partly because they messed up all their grenades, essentially. They tried to throw a smoke onto the site. It landed in the apartments. The Molotov went the wrong way as well. So all the places they expected to compromise in terms of where Alpha Red could stand were wrecked.
Well, they have some smokes left, and they'll be deploying those towards the B-bomb sites, so they'll be going for this regardless. And there's no forward positioning for Alpha Red. However, they do have 3 on the B-bomb site anyway, so they look good to deal with this. Box able to take one down. It's very, very blind, and this is working out brilliantly for the defending side. Alpha Red looking strong on the hold, but so the defense might be cracked open. Just down the sign, and he's been fantastic, of course, but this is a lot to ask. Goes through the smoke. He is utterly denied by KdTV, and that's going to be 6-14 Alpha Red with another round, and forcing MVP into... Oh, well, actually, no, they have just enough money for a buy, so they'll be getting the AKs out once again. Mostly AKs.
Two Galils for MVP. Now, if they can line up their grenades properly, maybe a fast play will be more successful. 4 players going straight towards the A bomb site, and Stacks, I think he might have thrown a flashbang up top mid, trying to run distraction in that position. 3 players in Palace, a simple burst. Again, keeping it very, very simple. But Olivia, again, I told you, the CT side, it works out for him. He's ready now. And I do start to wonder if the comeback is on for Alpha Red. As crazy as that might sound with half the score of their opponent, I think if Olivia gets cracking, then there's going to be real big issues for MVP.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a difficult one for MVP with Alpha Red keep performing like this. And one of the things about this position that the MVP have as well is that if they have like a good A set piece, if you run that set piece 3 or 4 times, it's very likely that that's going to yield at least 1 single round. If it's has some good rehearsal to it. And they seem to really like the idea of going towards B here. They will be on pistols this time around, and so I do wonder how successful this might be. We'll likely see more success than when they had rifles. That seems to be the way it goes sometimes, but Alpha Red are not on high alert to be as they were in that round, so this might actually indeed work out much more favorably. And considering that Myros is fairly alone on the bomb site playing bench, there is a world. There's a world. However, if he drops a defensive smoke, then maybe that world goes away. But he doesn't have any smokes. Just a flashbang. There it goes.
Fox blind for the time being, but now he can see again, and most players are still in the choke point. That's a problem for MVP. Alpha Red dealing with this comfortably for the time being. Okay, with the CZ. But Mirage is in a strong position, and they might not check this immediately. Indeed, free kill for him, and lining up on the balcony. Now there's one player left. HSK trying to do some more damage. It will be the 2 frags, and that's about it. It keeps the CT money honest, but there's another round in the bag for Alpha Red. And with every buy round they win, Alpha Red, if MVP don't plant the bomb, then it's a free round for Alpha Red. If MVP do plant the bomb, they get 4,200 and they can buy again. So that is something to keep an eye on. It's very important for Alpha Red not to allow a bomb plant.
Yeah, and I have to say, at this point, Alpha Red, they start to gain a lot of confidence, and that's really important too. So let's see if they will find a way to open things up well here. They've only got one player in mid. It's just Olivia trying to get a pick. And
just Olivia, he says.
Yeah. Oh, hello. There is a leg shot as they jump across. To get the frag though. He's back to the well once again. Can he make it happen? No. Okay, so he's been punished there in connector. That's a problem because now the split's on. But there's 2-man setup on the pit position. That should be strong enough to deal with this.
Well, the Org is getting activated. T's moving through the connector position, but it's Alfred lighting up the kill feed at the expense of MVP. I was going to say frag Olivia, maybe win the round, maybe not. Team the CT side is very, very strong for both of these teams. The fadeaway HE may never land, and that is Alpha Red on 9 rounds. Again, MVP don't plant the bomb, so... Well, it seems they've built some money anyway, so they could actually get an extra buy out of this. Because everybody's $4,000 or above, so... They are comfortable for a buy. There will be a tactical timeout from MVP. Their lead has quickly disappeared. They have not won a single round. In 23 rounds, 1 T round has been won between these 2 teams.
Yeah, that's a bit unusual.
They haven't planted the bomb in this half either. They have not planted the bomb a single time. So they're actually doing even worse than Alpha Red were in the first half.
That is very concerning, not even a bomb plant.
You didn't think it possible, but they are actually doing even worse.
Right, so we have a game on our hands, perhaps, as MVP try to figure it out, and they'll have the full buy-in here. HSK on the AWP. Doesn't have enough money for Kevlar, though, but that's fine when you're on the AWP mostly. We'll see if it impacts him here. Going for a fast play towards the top position. He'll smoke himself. There's the run boost. HSK unable to find anyone. Olivia going back again, though, to the peak. Olivia loves to stay active with this AWP. Again, it's so important to do so. It's the best weapon for non-tradable kills. And that is a very big deal.
I thought that was the revolver.
Not quite.
All right then, MVP, you require 1 round for match point. So far, you have failed 8 times in this half. But this is good. We spoke about not losing a player early. That's the case here. We've got a minute on the clock and it's a 5 versus 5. But with these grenades being deployed, they have practically no grenades left. But they are moving into a split of the B bomb site. They've got a smoke-in connector, so this is going to be a very short warning for Fox. He's put himself in a spot where if somebody wide peeks him and there's a trade frag attempt, there's nothing he can really do about it. He's surely going to go down. Exactly that. There's a team kill in fact, but they do have position. Now Mirage has a lot to do, and he's doing a lot. Oh my god, has he done enough? Zeta has got to find this frag. CT on the side, there's about 25 seconds on the clock here, so there is a lot of pressure for MVP. We've got flashes over the top, but he's got to find these CTs, and it's not happening. Close but no cigar. Alpha Red now only 4 rounds away.
Fox actually did such a good job there on Catwalk. Not only did he get the initial kill, but he actually dinked 2 players immediately. So he had 2 players in the red on about 10 HP each, trying to move into the bomb site, allowing his teammate to really clean up. Mayrol's there on the anchor position on the B bomb site. So it's going to be 10 rounds now for Alpha Red, only 4 away from their opponents. That is pretty unfathomable if we think back to the first half.
I'm not biased, Dan, but I can't imagine going up 14-1 and being unable to win a single round. That can't be a thing. It cannot be a thing.
Well, it's not over yet. The story is still developing, still unfolding in front of our eyes as we get back into this one. The freeze time is going to end in about 10 seconds, and we'll see MVP on a pistol round. And if it was to be any round, James, it's probably a pistol round where they have a bunch of utility where they make it work. We'll have to see what the intentions are. They often go towards B every time so far with these pistols, and B has been, of course, you know, a failure every single time. They've never really gone towards A with their grenades. And back to B once again, see if they have a different result.
Okay, so this is a fast execute from Zessa. He goes forward ahead of his teammates, maybe avoiding some potential grenades. And he is so far ahead of his teammates, there's no one there to trade. They're not even through the smoke on the balcony yet. So this is, the timing is weird. I mean, yeah, it is a pistol execute, but still, he flies into the bomb site. He's in the middle of the site, basically, and his teammates are not even by the windows, and there is some life to the crowd yet. I think Alpha Red are the favorite, at least as far as the crowd are concerned. So that is exactly the same timing that MVP had in the previous run, where they kind of cancelled the push. But again, once you're going through the window and so on, your teammates need to be there to trade. That is the glory in the numbers, but that wasn't the case for MVP, and smoke on the balcony didn't really work out for them.
I think they've run the B set piece like a few times, and it's failed miserably every time. They have never gone to the A set pieces, which I've been really surprised about, because it's, with pistols, it's really effective as well. So MVP, perhaps that's something that they typically lean on, but they're not finding the successes that maybe they normally would. And all of a sudden, it's such a change of narrative where, you know, MVP become quiet and passive in their gameplay, when that was the story for Alpha Red in the first half. Very unusual stuff here, as we'll see Fox flashing himself in for a mid peak. Also, obviously, he does have some assistance there from Olivia playing connector with the AWP. And there we go. Late top mids take coming in from MVP. Got about a minute on the clock now to make a move towards the bomb sites, and we'll see Sign throwing the smoke towards the, I think that's the door position on market.
It's the window.
That's window? Okay.
Yeah, the top corner of that. It's a jump throw to the window. It's such a crazy difference in these halves, because in the first half, MVP's CT aggression was what was taking the game away from Alpha Red. And on this half, Alpha Red, outside of some peeking with Olivia in mid, they're just waiting for MVP to make their plays, essentially. And they're just fragging them. They're using the organ, just abusing these players. And here is Mirage again doing exactly the same thing. Just able to get these kills. He makes it look easy. And MVP just have no answer. Every round is like this. Alpha Red not really contesting mid too much, just waiting on the sites and cutting them to ribbons.
Still a chance though. Zeph looking for a peek. Flashbang comes in. It is a trade though. He's got the bomb, and he's got to plant that immediately. Does he have time to do it? He's just got to go for it. Tries to fake it up. He's got no time, so he's going to die after time and get absolutely no money. He's stuck on $550, and that's something that we saw happen to Olivia on the first half, actually. So this is very, very strange indeed. The comeback is absolutely on here for Alpha Red, and if things continue, James, they actually seem more favored to actually win this. Which a single T round one and not a single bomb plant in this entire first half. Not a single bomb plant. That is
the level
crazy.
of failure is unprecedented. It is unprecedented, and it's so bizarre just because it's so different. It's not even a mirror of the first half. Again, a CT half for MVP. They are making the plays. They're putting the flashbangs through the smoke area. They're the ones having 3 players jumping out of the window, going through the underpass and getting multi-frags of a UMP versus the AKs of Alpha Red, because they're just not watching the underpass, things like that. But they're just getting out-dueled on the sites, on the B bomb site. Alpha Red are just waiting there. Here comes an AUG, and they're all dead. And they have no response. They can't trade with some of the angles that Mirage has been taking, which has been really solid. Towards the A bomb sites again, it's just a case of duels. Just, okay, we'll just win the duels. It's that simple, but to do it for 11 rounds in a row and not get a single bomb plant is bizarre.
It is crazy. And we'll see the pistols back at it again. No utility to assist them. And finally they'll go towards A. I just wish they had some utility to back it up with, but they will likely be walking into the meat grinder here. There's 3 CTs ready to receive this. Smoke down on the balcony position just to make it that much more uncomfortable. And another smoke going in. Seems as though Alpha Red know exactly what's coming. Doesn't matter really for MVP that they are so under-equipped for this. And as you mentioned, Alpha Reds are so happy to wait for the play to be made by MVP. So ready and willing to cut it down. There you go. KdTV defending the Palace. And now it's competition for the last kill. And one of the typical ways the default operates on this map is you take middle, you take connector, you take the ladder room, and therefore you push back the CTs. If the CTs decide to be aggressive, you get options to get frags and picks. And even if it's like a 4 versus 4 after that, it's still pretty favorable because the CTs have to give up space. Then you can fall back out a mid if you want, leave someone there, and maybe leave one guy in connector, then put 3 through T spawn to push A, or do the same but with 3 pushing towards B. That's generally how a default functions in basic terms. We've seen MVP struggling to do any of that.
Even in that eco round, if you look at the money that's left on the likes of Zeta, Sign, and Stacks, I mean, you could argue that they buy less in that round to give them more of a buy in this round. In the next round, should they lose this one. But I think the alternative is just kind of making more effort in that eco round, because that, again, the anarchy of pistols can be what wins you stuff. And again, outside of the aggression of Olivia in mid, they're just waiting Alpha Red. They're just waiting, and they are out-dueling round after round after round after round. Every round, no plants. I don't even know what to say.
This round, we may just see a plant here. The smoke set piece will come into the A-bomb site. That should isolate players. The Molotovs in the right positions. A full flash to slow down the Ts. The counter utility is pretty good here for Alpha Red. There's no smoke on the stairs, though. There's no smokes to cut off these positions, and this is just so favorable for the CT side. They are getting free shots off. This is a problem. SCK, that Molotov looks like it's not going to spread to his position. So now there's still a CT in the bomb site. This is hopeless right now in this round for MVP. They're not going to get the bomb down, I don't think, unless something crazy happens. Flashbang in, HSK taking heavy hits. 3 players left to deal with, and he's only got 19 points of health as he looks for the peak from default, but that player does not have to peek him at all. Does pick it up, and Flashbang sailing over the top, but Alpha Red, they can play this slowly.
Okay.
James,
oh, he's faking the bomb plant. They have never got a bomb plant. Please, just do it for the stats. Okay, he's got to commit to it now, and they could just rush him because he has to commit to this. So he's really outplayed his hands. He took a gamble. It didn't work out. He did plant the bomb, so they are able to buy again. At least there is that. They finally planted the bomb. It only took them 13 rounds to plant the bomb. So we have made a step forward there.
Alpha Red certainly have. They've equalized, James. They were down 1-14, and now it's 14-14.
I've never seen anything like this. I'm
not in a grand finals, yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen anything like this.
I don't think this has happened.
13 rounds to plant a bomb. And that almost didn't happen either.
Yep, it was in the very last moments by the skin of their teeth. They did get it down, and as you said, the extra money is very useful in making sure you can have all the utility in the AWP if that's an option that you want to use. So the problem with that round was that we didn't see the smokes. They were waiting to throw in their own. They threw Molotovs, they threw flashbangs, but there's no smokes, James. There's no smoke on ticket or stairs or jungle, and so that just allowed that allowed Olivia to go to town.
Why is that a thing?
Yeah,
that exists.
You gotta disable the options for the defense, cut off their angles, their vision, so that you can make ground into the bomb site. We're going to see a faster play, I think, from MVP here towards A. Looks like they may just go for a burst and not rely on any smokes. They're going to have to walk through that, I think. This is going to be quite interesting. Can they make it happen? No, KdTV does get one on the side. The trade's coming out from Olivia once again, though. No smokes down, and that's a fantastic wallbang coming in from Olivia. Very much needed shot. This round still on, though, for MVP. It's a 2 versus 2. Still a huge chance for them to pick up their first round on the second half.
The bomb is exposed on the A-bomb site. Mirage is watching it. Now, with the time on the clock, I think Zeta's going for a flank through the B-bomb site. I would be surprised if Alfred expect this, but Stacks has to stay alive, and Olivia is hunting. But he can only go so far. So, let's see now. Zeta's just posting up for the time being. Mirage starts to wonder, starts to look at the crawl space. Now, I think Stacks may be showing some presence. Mirage, okay, gets taken out absolutely instantly. Olivia, though, he's the man to clutch. The scope has surely got to be heard now. Down to the Caesar 75. His teammate needs to make a play forward in the meantime, and he does. But he's got to go and get the bomb. 35 seconds. You don't want to take that duel where Olivia's only got his head to show. Run run, because Olivia is coming.
Deep breaths. This is the man you want on the team left in the clutch. Olivia, can he save the day here? Prevent this round going to MVP. Prevent them, MVP at least securing an overtime. That's what this is all about here for Olivia. As he moves forwards, doesn't know exactly where the other player is. Doesn't a smoke, but Stax gets it. Oh, down to 22 HP, and MVP pick up their first round in round 29, no less, which gives them, James, still the option to win this series, to win this grand finals.
Wow. Well, I guess MVP needed some pressure. 13 rounds in a row. But can they convert it? We have some calls for overtime, and you might just see it with Stax on a Mac-10. The Mac-10 on Mirage is not ideal by any means. I'd rather have a Deagle. Olivia in that short position. Gets one quickly, and there's another frag for STK, and there's a free one for Olivia. MVP just running into a meat grinder, fingers first, and then the face. Oh, I mean, Olivia's on short, why not pick Olivia then?
He's absolutely loving it, just devouring all these players, and MVP have fed right into their hands. Well, finally he's dead, he's been eliminated, he's been silenced, but one versus, this is to take the game now, to take the series, HSK has to ace clutch. That would be a crazy thing.
It's not happening.
Fox is still on the AWP. Of course, it was a double up setup from Alpha Red. The bomb is lost on the catwalk position. However, there is time for Fox to work with. We'll spot a player towards Ticket. Now, that's kind of problematic. As you can see, the CTs now have an absolute understanding of where he is. And there's the peak. 15-15. We're going to overtime. Let's see if this one works out.
That is wild. I cannot register what I've just seen. From 14-1, you can't get a bomb plant for 13 rounds. Then you win just the one round. That is, I don't even know. I don't know what the stats are for that kind of thing, but it has to be unprecedented. Now we can see it is $10,000 per person. 3 rounds a half. So Alpha Red starting on the CT side have to be careful with their economy, because if you lose 2 rounds on the CT side, and let's say you go double ops or something, it's almost a given that you're going to go 0-3. So MVP still have a chance to kind of figure out how to play T-side Mirage. Yeah. Well, I say that, it's how to just win duels on the sites, really. That is where they've just been getting wrecked every single round.
Yeah, I mean, they haven't been setting themselves up correctly with utility. That's been a big problem. And I saw a smile from Olivia. Perhaps he feels like it is their game to win now. It's overtime. However, it's going to be the B-bomb side immediately for MVP. Where was this in regulation? Oh my god, this is always the way, isn't it? It's the first round of overtime. Oh, we can just easily take team rounds now. No problem at all. And Mayrols, who's been such a steady pair of hands, demolishing every B push, went down very quickly there. And MVP, they will take the first round of overtime, James.
There it is, only their second T round in years. In donkey's years. Now we'll see if they can string a second one together. It looks like the AWP has to be rebought for Alpha Red, and boy do they want Olivia on an AWP after a horrific T side. He is currently, I think is he on 34 frags? Terrorists win. I think he is. Olivia, oh no, 24 frags. Okay, excuse me. That would have been a very, very bizarre. But 24 frags is still a hell of a lot, mostly in that CT side. So he really has been delivering, and he will be on the AWP once again. But if they lose this one, I don't know. I guess KdTV could drop one, but the rest of the team would be very, very short indeed. So they need Super Olivia. Not just for the CT side, though, once the sides change, they need to be able to have some progress there as well. But first comes the second round of overtime. MVP on the T side, the usual grenade towards that connector position, but Olivia is ready and waiting. He'll be smoked off completely.
So we'll be pushing forwards there into the apartments, seeing what he can find. They're also looking a lot more ready for this. He's got Fox for support. MVP trying to repeat the success of the previous round, but maybe it will be a little more difficult because Olivia's in play on that B site, and he's going to be knocking him down here. Another frag for Olivia. Headshot no less as Stax wraps around the side, looking to see what he can find. but it's Mayrols to close it down in favor of Alpha Red. So 1 apiece now into this first overtime. And it's, we often say, James, when it gets to overtime, that's when things get really weird. But things are already weird, so I don't know where we go to now.
Yeah, we've seen plenty of weird so far. Their rushes towards B, I feel like are always telegraphed enough for Alpha Red to throw Molotovs in, because they're throwing the flashes in and so on, but they keep having one guy ahead of everybody else jumping out of the window. Ideally, you want most of the people pushing together to go through a choke point while one person throws the flashes over the roof, but it seems to have loads of flashes and one person moving in instead. So that guy gets picked off. The rest get isolated through Molotovs and smoke grenades. Then they're stuck having to run through smokes on the balcony in many of the pushes towards B, and it's just disaster. And again, they're not going to wait out the CT smoke, it seems. They're just going to try to push straight through it instead. Stax will be the first one out. He's getting hit with grenades as well. Just standing in the middle of the smoke. What? It is bizarre. I think there may be a lurk smoke of their own. Not one that you see too commonly. You can only peek in 2 corners basically on Tetris or the other bricks, and it's not going to work. They're going to get cut to pieces again. And again, Olivia is just punishing people coming out of the palace, as we've seen multiple times before. So very uninspired pushes from MVP. Weird timing in that they could just wait for the smokes to go and they'd be in a better situation.
Yeah, they seem to be struggling with understanding the best ways to take the A-bomb site. We've seen all these rounds where there aren't smokes in the right places, and when it comes to that, it's a problem, because the whole point of the smoke executes is that you cut off vision. So that end of what happens then is that you're able to gain ground onto the bomb site and take position, get a bomb down, then you push the CCs out of position again. And right now MVP just get to take all the shots they want. Their counter utilities having massive value. Either way, we're into the next round. It is the second half of the first overtime now. Alpha Red back on the T side. Maybe they can show an improved T side again. They have a lot to prove to us as well, James.
Bizarro world here in Mumbai on Mirage. 14-1. Continues to peek Olivia, no fear whatsoever. I'm terrified just sitting here with Olivia on the AWP. Although, again, let's not forget, his T side was awful in regulation.
But now maybe he's feeling it. Now maybe he's warmed up, James. That's the hope, at least. Slow one from Alpha Red. Moving towards the B apartments now, and perhaps they can find a pick. Is Olivia there? Because if you lead with the AWP as everyone moves forwards, no, he's not. Okay, it's in T-spawn. But so that's one way to do it. You kind of just play contact with the AWP just scoped in looking first, and that way, you can, if someone is jump spotting, maybe you get the pick with that AWP, and then you can kind of cue the push. However, MVP still playing it very chill. We saw this on the first half as well. Alpha Red suddenly deciding to go and run towards that A-bomb. So it's 3 players there. Will they have the utility for this? A very well-timed smoke there. With 30 seconds left, why not throw that smoke? That's a really smart play.
Exactly, and HSK still has a Molotov as well. So once these grenades start to come in, you could either choose to molly the CC position, but Time is here, pushing through the smoke. The bomb's rotating away with 18 seconds. Where could it possibly go? SDK making his way towards connector. They're up on mid, and Zeph is going to start to cut them down. He need not take this fight, just kill the time, because there's 9 seconds on the clock, but it'll peak a bit more. They have the numbers advantage though. That bomb is not going to get planted, so Alpha Red with problems on the T side once again. They don't challenge enough towards the A-bomb site to exhaust the utility over there. A late smoke from MVP. They had a Molotov if they wanted it. Players forced to push through the smoke. They choose to rotate away, but that was never going to work with the time on the clock. So one disaster after another. And here we are again. And this would suggest that MVP are now in a stronger position, because the CT side seems to be the key.
Yeah, absolutely. They had so many rounds to figure out their T side, perhaps, and Alpha Red, they don't have any rounds to figure it out. So at this point, they need to make it work, and they're leaning in on this B rush. It seems like both teams were relying a lot on B rushes, and it has not really been working out for anyone. Obviously, that's how MVP got their 1 round, was a successful B rush. And perhaps leaving a lot to chance here, Alpha Red, but let's see if it can work out. Flashes through, Fox first man in, will be fine. Absolutely nothing is. Zeph Stax all in position, ready to do the damage, and the CTs are getting all the kills. The T's once again, James, they can't get out the apartments, and it is a disaster again on the B-bomb site.
2 versus 4. There's time on the clock, but they're still in the choke point. And again, it's the same issue. We'll see what Livia can do though. He's very, very capable. Not dead just yet. He gets his bell rung, but he's alive. I hear him on the balcony. So we heard the flashes start to come in. I heard like 3 or 4 flashes, and I thought, okay, at this timing, I'm expecting people to go through. Then I hear like 3 more flashes, maybe 1 or 2 more flashes, and it's like you're throwing so many flashes, you're not getting onto the site because you're busy throwing the flashes. It's kind of, you're doing too much of A and not enough of B. So you're stuck in a choke point. Maybe one guy gets onto the site. He doesn't kill everyone. Therefore, the rest of you are stuck in a choke point. So again, it's exactly the same issues we said about MVP. They're busy throwing way too much utility and not bursting into the site with numbers. You need to spread, you need to go wide, just like this. But again, a rush into the A bomb site now. Again, it's match point for MVP. Let's not forget. So far, so good. 4 versus 3 for them. Zeta will take a player out in sandwich position. That leaves Livia and Mayrolls. I think the MVP might just have done it. They've got too many people alive, and that will be that falling to the flames. MVP